Hello YouTube, it is I, Vincent, back again with yet another guitar video. And today we're gonna have another installment in the Why Do People Hate XYZ guitar series. But today we've got a little bit of a different one today. Well, in a lot of the other videos in this series, I've been talking about a lot of older guitar brands that have fallen off in the modern time. Today we'll be discussing a modern guitar brand that never really quite hit the mark. And that brand is Legator Guitars. Now Legator is kind of a weird case because on paper right now they should be kind of crushing it. They got modern designs, got a lot of extended range stuff. Their specs are pretty good, and I think a lot of the colors are pretty cool. Especially the crackle finish that they do now, the green and the purple, I think that looks really, really cool. But if you spend like 5 minutes browsing the internet, just looking at Reddit forums or old YouTube videos, you'll see the same thing over and over again. You'll see a lot of people warning you to kind of stay away from the brand. Terrible QC. Not worth the risk. So what happened? Why did Legator kind of receive this reputation of being a brand that people should kind of avoid the risk for? The story of Legator starts all the way back in 2012, which in my head doesn't sound that long ago, but in reality that's 14 years ago. And it was founded by Ken and Yi with the express purpose of building extremely high quality instruments for the modern guitar player. They focus more specifically on the extended range side of things with a lot of 7 and 8 and 9 string stuff, and they were one of the early adopters of multi-scale back in the day. And at a time where 7, 8, and 9 string guitars were becoming a lot more popular, especially in the late 2010s with the whole Gent explosion happening, Legator tried to position itself more as a forward-thinking brand. The guitar of the future. They weren't really trying to compete with the Fenders or the Gibsons, or even arguably brands like Ibanez or ESP at the time. They were trying to target players who wanted more strings, more range, and more modern features that guitar companies weren't offering at the time. And it was a value proposition that worked. There was a lot of hype around the brand when it first came out, and they started getting a lot of traction in the online guitar community. But that's when things kind of started to fall apart, you know, when the guitars actually started getting in people's hands. Early on, Legator guitars had a lot of issues. We're talking uneven and sharp frets. We're talking electronics just straight up not working out of the box. Talking about poor finishes and inconsistent build quality across the board. And this wasn't just a few isolated incidents, this was a lot of the guitars. As someone who myself owned a Legator 300 series 8-string guitar back in the day, which was supposed to be their highest end guitar at the time, I can tell you that I personally did have sharp fret ends. The finish masking was not great, and there was still glue on the fretboard from the frets. But even worse than the QC issues was the customer service, which was also not great. There were a lot of reports of slow responses, difficult returns, and the warranty issues just straight up not being handled properly. Now, to be fair, this was a very small guitar brand that was starting out at the time, trying to scale extremely fast. But in the guitar world, first impressions are everything, and Legator's first impression was kinda rough, to say the least. Here's the reality. Guitar players have very long memories. Once a guitar brand gets labeled as having bad QC, that label sticks. Even if they fix those issues later, it's still an uphill battle to regain that reputation that you lost. And that's exactly what happened with Legator. They have improved significantly over the years. They have a lot better factories, better consistency, better designs, and a lot higher specs, but the internet just does not forget things. And a lot of players just frankly still associate Legator with those early problems. And here's another major issue with Legator, and that is their artist roster. More specifically, that Legator has never really truly had a stable or respected artist roster ever in the history of them being a brand. I mean, sure, you have Slaughter to Prevail now, which is probably the best artist on the roster. But when I think of Legator guitars, my brain immediately goes to Rings of Saturn and Buried Alive. And I'm sure the same can be said for a lot of you people. And here's the problem with that. Those two artists have their own controversies as well. And that matters more than people think, because artist associations help shape the brand perception. So not only are you a brand that has your own controversies with your quality control and customer service, but your two premier artists are also artists that have mixed reputations in the scene, to put it lightly. And when you compare that to brands like ESP, who has Metallica, Deftones, Lamb of God, you got Ibanez, who has Polyphia, Steve Vai, Joe Satriani, you got Schecter, who's got Avenged Sevenfold and Intervals. These brands have credible, widely respected artists that people look up to backing them. And Legator just never really fully locked that in. And in fact, they went in the opposite opposite direction where their artists also kind of became red flags for the brand. And now we gotta talk about probably the biggest problem, and it's that the guitar market out there is brutal nowadays. It is insanely competitive. I mean, think about it. If you're a modern metal player now in 2026, you have so many options in front of you. You got the established players like Ibanez, ESP, Schecter, Jackson, but then you even have some of the modern brands like Solar, Kiesel, Strandberg, all offering very quality stuff at very competitive prices. And all of these brands that I'm mentioning have proven quality control, established reputations, strong artist backings, and pretty competitive pricing. If you're a newer brand like Legator, and I put that in air quotes because, again, 2012, you don't just need to be good, you need to be better or different, or cheaper. And that's where Legator struggles, because while their guitars are modern, and I think they are good, I really can't think of a reason why somebody would pick a Legator over one of the other brands that I just mentioned. So for most players, myself included, the decision becomes very simple. It's, do I take a risk on something like Legator, or do I want to go something more proven that I already know that I like? And most people end up choosing what's familiar, or what they know is gonna be good. Now, to be fair, modern Legator has addressed pretty much most of the issues that I've talked about in this video. They are much better than they used to be. Their QC has improved significantly. Their designs are a lot better, and I think their specs are very, very competitive. But they run into the issue of just kind of having to fight their own history. I mean, look at a brand like Solar. Solar is another guitar brand that started out in the 2010s. Another brand that I'll put in the same similar modern metal niche. However, Solar is doing significantly better. And you know why Solar is doing so much better than Legator? It's because Solar never built up a bad reputation. Solar straight up just came out of the gate swinging with great guitars at a great value, backed by a person that everybody in the guitar community pretty much respected unilaterally. But I personally don't think that it's all doom and gloom for Legator. Like I said, most of these issues have been resolved, and the guitar company overall is still very, very young. They still have a long road ahead of them, and I look forward to see what they do more in the future. But that's enough of me yapping about guitars. Now I open the floor to you guys. What do you guys think about Legator guitars? Do you think Legator guitars can make a name for themselves in the 2020s? Or do you think they're doomed to be trapped under the weight of their own failures early on in their career? Be sure to leave your thoughts down below in the comment section, and if you like this video or learned something, feel free to leave a like or a subscribe. It certainly helps me out immensely. And with all that being said, I will see you guys in the next one. Peace out.